All right, so today you've already seen my takedown video, so I'm going to be resetting it up. So a couple of things. So it's strapped up. I've got the legs here where I leave them. I've got the leg bolts in on all the corners. I'm going to do a setup video by myself. A couple of things you're going to need. One of them is way over here. A stool to set the back on. And this is a 1981 Williams Jungle Lord. So these older games have two different size bolts. The cabinet bolts are a 5/8 bolt. The Backbox bolt are 9/16 bolt. So I use this wrench from Pinball Life. I buy a couple of these and give them out, but it has the 5/8 on one side and the 9/16 on the other, and it's nice that it has the flexible head so you can get down into the tight spaces, particularly in the back box. Optionally, you can also use a cordless drill. This is has a 1/2-inch drive on it. This is a neat little bit. Allows you to use sockets with the cordless screwdriver. So I put that in there, and this is the 5/8 inch, just a normal socket. I don't like to use these for screwing bolts on, but you can use it. It goes faster. Just you got to make sure that the chuck is set to a point where it doesn't over tighten the bolts. That's the risk you run. Taking them off is obviously, this is the best way to go. So let's get started by putting the front legs on. So just make sure, some of these are labeled. A lot of people label them. This one says like front left. It doesn't really matter all that much because when you move them, they go out of level anyway. But just make sure you grab the short extent levelers ones. The longer leveler ones are the ones that are usually for the back on these games. So grab the short ones and take these bolts out using your handy. Remember, make sure this is set low enough so you don't, so the clutch is set low enough so you don't over tighten. And then I hand finish with these. Snug, not over tight. Now that we have our front legs on, we're going to slowly let the game down on its front legs, so it's resting on its front legs and on the back. And we're going to want the stool within reaching distance. I'm going to just tilt this down. Go, using leverage. Now this is a heavy beast. Why don't you come over here for a second? One thing that you want to be careful of is try not to pick it up by the fragile wood here. Sometimes you can start from inside here. You do kind of the clean and jerk motion. I try to get all the way under it and lift with my legs as best I can. Then set it on my thigh and then pull the stool over. So here we go. All right. Now, you certainly can do it by yourself, like I just did. If you're willing, doing it with a friend is a little easier, but not impossible on your own. I remember I leave these, I screw these back in here for transport just so they don't get lost. A lot of people put them in a bag or something like that, but I find that I end up, if I do that, I leave them wherever I pack the game up last. So everything is safer in the game, so you don't lose it. Put the back legs on. Now they do make a device that you can set games on. Somebody makes one that's out of an old vinyl siding roller stand or something. Stool works just as well. Lots of fancy different things you can buy for this, but it's the old Jack Daniel's number 7 stool. Remember, don't over tighten. But remember to hand finish. Snug, not over tight. Remember, this is 5/8. Set this down. What I do is I just kind of lift up on it and then slide the stool out. All right, so now we're going to work on the back box. I've got my back box bolts here. I store them, get in the game. Lots of people use bags, as I mentioned, but I like to keep everything with the game just so you don't leave anything behind. One of the most critical things at this point that I forget almost every time, the power cable is usually in the back of the cabinet. So wherever this is, you might have to reach down in here and pull it up, but do not forget to pull it out so that you can plug it in. And then there's this little notch right here, if you want to see this, where the power cable goes, right? So this brown power cable goes right in this notch. And then you want to tilt the back box up. So many times, even just a few minutes ago, we had to reshoot. That's how often. I forget to leave this, and I know lots of people have had the same sort of experience. So get the power cable out, we'll tilt this up. Make sure your back box bolts are in hand, your wrench is somewhere close by, like your back pocket or on a table. The strap is okay to come off now. Right? If you take the strap off before, the back box will fall off and you'll have a bad day. So pull this off. Now, one thing that's really important to check before you tilt this up is to make sure the back glass has not come loose. Right? So I just want to make sure that it's still firmly seated in the back box, because if you tilt this up and the back glass has come loose, it falls out, you're going to have a bad day. Then you're going to order it from BG Resto and pay $320 and wait 6 months. So there you go. So I want to make sure the back box is relatively flush with the cabinet, because that's about where the holes are. Power cable's out. This is not secure, right? So you got to be real careful with it, but we have to pull the back glass out now. Back glass is the safest place to transport in the game. A lot of people transport the back glass outside of the game. No. The safest place for your back glass when you're transporting a game is in the game. Take that out, set it to the side, keep a hand on it. Now when I unlatch this back box and swing it forward, it's gonna pull the back box forward. It's gonna be because it's gonna be heavier than the box. So I'm gonna unlatch this, keeping my right hand on it, swing this out. It's gonna want to naturally tilt forward, but I'm not gonna let it because I got a hand on it. And then I'm gonna hand tighten one of my 9/16 bolts into a hole. Once you find it, just start threading it in. Just get it hand tight, just so that the back box doesn't come forward on you. Do the other one the same way. I might have to wiggle the back box a little bit just to get it to thread. I'm just kind of wiggling it. All right, now I got my wrench, 9/16. This is where this bendy, this pivot comes in handy, right? So I can get to these hard to reach bolts. A flat wrench is gonna be a little harder. Socket's fine, obviously. Just this is nice because it has both sides, both sizes, 5/16 and 9/8. Just get this snug, not over tight. You don't want to strip the threads. basically the same for Bally games of this era, these solid state games, or this is a Williams. But any of these older games, they basically set up just like this. All right, so now it's good. So we're gonna go ahead, and what I try to do is I just push in on all the connectors, just make sure that nothing came loose. These Williams 80 pins or whatever they are, these big multi pins are usually an issue. Just press down on everything. Give it a visual inspection just to make sure that nothing looks pinched or missing. And go ahead and close it back up. Now before I put the back glass back in and seal it all up, I just go ahead and plug it in just to make sure it works. Because chances are you're going to have to be fixing something. So just make sure she turns on. Looks good. The scores are all lit up. And you got light animations on the playfield, so we're good to go. Put the back glass back in. At this point, if you have a key, this is where you would lock it, and then the key lives inside on a tiny little hook in here by the front left leg. Some of them are little hangers here, but usually it's right here on a little hook. So the last thing we need to do now that it's back on its legs and it's working is to put the balls back in. So what as I mentioned, what I normally do is I keep these in the coin box. It's usually covered, and if it's not covered, you have to find somewhere else to put it, but just slide the cover back and pull the balls out. Now to get them back in, there's a little lever right here. So slide the lever over, pull the lockdown bar up. And you don't have to pull the glass all the way off just for this. So I just slide it back just a little bit, just make sure it doesn't slide too far. And then just gently put them on top of the playfield, and they'll roll back down to where they need to go. Right. Put the glass back, put the lockdown bar back on, and close this lever. Right? If you don't close this lever, the door won't shut. So make sure it's closed all the way. Check the lockdown bar to make sure it's secure. And close your coin door. We're done. Thanks for watching.